Now, I don't know about you, but I am someone who likes to try new things, break out of my old routines every once in a while, and shake things up. So that is exactly what's going on today. Starting in the kitchen, we're gonna switch up pulled pork, and I'm gonna show you how to make my pulled mushroom sandwiches. This audience seems into it, but I can tell there's some people at home being like, pork, mushrooms, I don't understand. How do we make these two things the same? But here's the thing, pulled pork, while delicious, takes a really long time to make. Also, there's almost no way to make less than the amount that you would need to feed an army. Like, you make so much pulled pork. So I wanted to switch out that pork with delicious mushrooms. They pull, they're juicy. I feel like I can trick you even to thinking it is a delicious pulled pork sandwich. I know, we're using my favorite type of mushroom, oyster. We're gonna get into those a little bit later, but first up, I'm gonna make a little bit of a marinade for those mushrooms. So in my bowl here, I'm gonna go in with about 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm just using olive oil, but any sort of oil you've got hanging around is absolutely perfect. Now, since we're marinating mushrooms and not meat, this happens really, really quickly. You can marinate it for way longer if you want to, but we're gonna go quick today. So into that 2 tablespoons of that oil, I'm going in with 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Now, since I'm adding, I love a soy. If you're looking for a meaty flavor, that umami flavor in soy gives you that kind of meatiness. It's really tasty. Also gives you nice salt, which is perfect. So I'm actually not gonna add any additional salt into here because that's salty enough. Now, for a little bit of brightness, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. I always feel like that tastes like barbecue. I'm more of a, is that a Carolina style barbecue? One of them's vinegary, one of them's mustardy. I can't remember, but I like a vinegary. But I also like a mustard, so I'm also going in with some mustard. So we got a tablespoon of that vinegar. I'm also going in with about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. I love Dijon. It's got a little pepperiness to it. It's really nice. It also helps bring everything together and make it into a cohesive kind of situation. Now, for a bit of sweetness, a tablespoon of some honey goes in. If you've got like a hot honey, go for that, but we're going regular right now. Oh, why is honey always in a bear? I don't understand. You know, whatever. You'd think it would be a bee, but I don't know. Okay, perfect. And then for some spices, I'm going in with about a teaspoon of cumin and smoked paprika. Now, anytime I am making any sort of vegetarian recipe, cumin and smoked paprika make its way into there. Cumin to me tastes smoky. It's a little bit kind of lemony. It's got a nice kind of meaty flavor. And smoked paprika is what I like to call the bacon of my spice cupboard because it tastes like bacon. It's got that smokiness in it. It's really, really tasty, tons of flavor. So about a teaspoon of that goes in as well. Now, I wanna season that up with some pepper. Again, no salt though, because we've got that soy sauce in there. So just pepper is all we need. And you can pepper to your heart's content if you're feeling very peppery, but I feel like that's probably good for me. Give that a little bit of a whisk together, just to come together. And as you see, that beautiful mustard kind of helps emulsify everything, which is great, because that's gonna get all those flavors onto my mushrooms. Now, speaking of mushrooms, you got a little sneak peek earlier. We're using oyster mushrooms today. Now, not king oyster. King oyster are the ones that kind of look like stumps, like they're chunkier. They, when you cut them, almost look like a scallop. Oyster mushrooms are absolutely beautiful. When you buy them, they can come kind of individual like this, or they can come kind of almost like a hand where they're kind of connected together. You see those gills on the back side? Gross, I hate the word gills, but that's, I said it and I was like, ugh, why did I say it? But that absorbs so much flavor. Now we've got 2 different varieties here. We want about 400 grams of oyster mushrooms. So we've got a brown variety as well as kind of a gray-black variety. You can also find pink ones, yellow ones. All of them are totally delicious. I'm just gonna add those right on into that delicious marinade and then just give that a toss, just to evenly coat all those mushrooms. Now, mushrooms are kind of funny. They're almost like a sponge, so they're gonna absorb this beautiful marinade. You can see that one already is gonna be absolutely delicious. Super nice and marinated already. All right, so you just wanna toss those until they're nicely combined, then just set those aside. You can set them aside for a minute, you could set them aside for a day. It doesn't really matter because that flavor is gonna be in there, so I'm gonna pop those over. Then I'm gonna get to work on a slaw while those get to marinating. Because if I'm doing like a pulled pork sandwich, you gotta have some slaw, right? This is my type of audience. We're all cabbage freaks. I love it so much. All right, now into my bowl, I'm gonna go in with about a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is a great base for any sort of slaw. You could do a vinegary one, but I like that mayonnaise, that creaminess. So I'm going in with about a 1/4 cup of that. Then for a little bit of more vinegariness, I am going in with some vinegar. About a tablespoon of apple cider goes in. And then I like to cut through the kind of like sour savoriness with a little bit of sugar. Just a tiny, tiny bit, maybe about a teaspoon, half a teaspoon of just plain white sugar. Absolutely perfect. Now this is my sneaky ingredient anytime I'm making a slaw, and that is onion. That doesn't sound like a sneaky ingredient, but what I do is I grate the onion into the dressing. So this gives you almost like an oniony juice, which again, not cute sounding, but it gives you so much flavor. So I've just got a little onion here, just a plain yellow onion, and you just wanna grate it on the large side of a box grater. You want about a quarter of that onion. Now, this is a really good grater, so I am getting little slices of that onion, but if you're using one that's a little dull, you almost get like an onion pulp. So it gets into that dressing. It's gonna be absolutely beautiful. That's gonna give you nice spicy flavor without big hunks of onion in there. I'm gonna give that a whisk together. And then I'm gonna go in with my cabbage. So I have got about 2 to 3 cups of green cabbage here that I've thinly sliced up. If you wanna cheat and get one of those pre-made bags of slaw, feel free to do that. I also like a little bit of carrot in mine now for some sweetness, a little bit of pop of color. So I've got a carrot here that I also grated up. Anytime I'm making slaw, love a grater, absolutely perfect. Now, give that a little bit of a toss, as well as a bit of season with some salt, maybe a bit of pepper. And you just wanna evenly coat all of that slaw, all of that cabbage, those carrots, with that beautiful creamy dressing. Now, if you wanted to, you could double the dressing recipe if you wanted a really creamy slaw. But, you know, I'm going a little dainty, because I'm gonna make a sloppy sandwich, and I want it to be not that sloppy. All right, that's looking beautiful. Anytime I'm making slaw as well, I like to make it a little bit in advance because that's gonna help kind of break down that cabbage, make it sweeter, really, really tasty. So we've got those mushrooms over here. They have been marinating. I would toss them a little bit more in real life, but I got all you friendly people here, so I'm gonna get going. And I wanna bring them over to my stove. So I've got a grill pan here. You could do this in a cast iron skillet. You could do this on your barbecue if you're feeling it for extra smokiness. That is over high heat. I've greased it with a little bit of oil. And now what you wanna do is add those mushrooms right onto that grill. So the trick is, you're looking for a sizzle. We always want that. But what you're looking for is you want good contact with those grills. You want nice kind of golden brown color, because you only want these to cook for about 2 minutes per side. So once they hit the grill, get a nice big spatula and give them a good press. The exact opposite of what you would do to any sort of meat. You want it to get good contact. I think a good press deserves a clap. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Now you want to cook those for about 2 minutes per side, just until golden, and then you end up with something that looks like this, which I'm not gonna lie, starting to look a little bit meaty. Am I right? Right? Kind of looks like those little burnt ends of like barbecue that people love so much. So I'm actually gonna take these now and we're gonna pull these mushrooms. So I'm gonna grab these mushrooms, pop them on into a bowl. And this is where they are tender. They cook down beautifully. You got that beautiful char mark. Just pop it on into a bowl. You want all those little bits off. And if you left them like this, honestly, no one's gonna complain. But if you really wanna convince people, or trick people rather, into thinking that this is pulled pork, get a couple of forks and you can pull the mushrooms. So if you see, I got a mushroom right here, you just kind of pull it apart and it kind of pulls just like meat. Do you see it kind of going apart? But this is gonna be a good one. See that? Kind of exactly like pulled pork. So just give it a little bit of a pull, just until it doesn't really look like mushrooms anymore, and then you are gonna end up with something that looks totally delicious. Now, for myself, oftentimes I will make a homemade barbecue sauce if I'm feeling it, but just store-bought barbecue sauce, never hurt anybody, it's a delish. So just pour a little bit of that right onto those mushrooms. Give that a good toss, just until it's nice and coated and sloppy. Doesn't that look meaty? Yeah. All right. Now to serve these babies up, I have got some classic burger buns. Any type you like. I got some nice ones with sesame seeds on top. I'm personally a slaw first girl, so pop a little bit of that beautiful slaw right onto that bun. Looking great. Then we add those amazing, saucy, delicious mushrooms right on top. Oh yeah. Doesn't that look so good? Oh my gosh. This is a thrill. Obviously chips on the side because we're not messing around. This was a big debate earlier. Are we also gonna do a couple chips crushed on top? Maybe. Okay, I'm gonna give this a taste. I simply cannot resist. If you serve this up to the biggest meat eater in your life, That kind of looks like a pulled pork sandwich, hey? Pretty good prank. Okay, here we go. This is gonna be a good leaner, okay. Oh my gosh. What a switch up. That is absolutely delicious. I'm surprised I ate that so neatly. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.